You're listening to the Motivated Mindset Podcast with Bobby Stein.
Hello, my name is Bobby Stein, your host of the Motivated Mindset Podcast, where I share candid conversations with extraordinary folks from all walks of life to discover just what motivates their mindset. Welcome in and thanks for listening. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Motivated Mindset Podcast. And I'm your host, Bobby Stein, and I trust that wherever you're watching or listening that you're doing absolutely fantastic. And today I'd like to pick up on another installment entitled Tales from the Treehouse with entrepreneur, writer, and mentor Ken Roberts. And if you have the opportunity, kindly check out some of the previous episodes we've done. Kind of builds a backdrop and a setting and a foundation for where we're going. We'd just like to kick back and have an easy conversation. So without further delay, I'd like you to welcome in Ken Roberts. And thanks for tuning in. Ken, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you, Bobby. You know, you reminded me just then, how are you all doing? There was this old timer in AA, very spiritual man, and his like tagline was, "So how are you treating today?"
Right.
Because it's up to us.
Yeah.
Rather than how is the day treating you? It doesn't work that way.
No, when you kind of flip the script, I think everything happens, and you can attest to this, Ken, it happens from the inside out, right?
Yes, correct.
It's not circumstances or politics or the economy or anything outside of us. I mean, there's things beyond our control, but we can't let them dictate how we treat the day. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So how are you treating the day?
I've been muddling through, and it seems like you were too, because you just recently you went under the knife with your schnoz, right? Your horn, your nose. You had a little
Yeah.
something.
Well, I'm at that age when I've been going to the dermatologist every 6 months since I was 19, because I had a melanoma on my chest when I was 19, and it was major surgery. I was in the hospital for 2 days or 2 weeks.
Wow.
and in the intensive care for 3 days. And they did a skin graft. They removed the thing and did a skin graft from my thigh. And it was a big deal. So anyway, the surgeon said, "Okay, now stay out of the sun the rest of your life." That's what he said to me. And I gotta tell you a story. You may not want to keep this, but in those days, this was Southern California. It was at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, which is where, it's the biggie. That's where a lot of celebrities go and have their surgeries and all that. And this guy was the head of he had two partners. The three of them were the biggest names in oncology that my mom could find. And she was a nurse all her life. And she actually, in those days, I was an only child, and she was terrified that they're talking melanoma and all of that. And she called Australia. And these were the days where, you remember, you'd make a phone call at night to save money and, and all of that. She called Australia. She called Europe, bless her heart. And they all said, basically, "Why are you calling us? You got Dr. Rockland right there in Santa Monica."
Whoa.
That was his name, Donald Rockland. So we went there, and this guy was something else, Bobby. Okay, so here I am, 19 years old. My mom and I are sitting in his office after he examined me, and a dermatologist had found this and taken a sample, a biopsy or what, and it wasn't clear, and it looked like melanoma. So that information we took to Dr. Rockland. So he sat down and he said, "If you were my son, this is what I would do. It is considered radical surgery. I'm going to go into your lymph nodes in your neck, and it is considered radical, but this is what I would do if you were my son." So he had a bell jar on his desk. And with a red phone under it. And I said, just like in the movies, and I said, Is that a movie prop? And he said, no, that connects me straight to the Surgeon General of the United States.
No kidding.
That was the level he was at.
That was the hotline.
Yeah. So he's this man. I admired him. I was 19. I wanted to be rich. You know that part of the story, and I was in the hospital. And in those days, you could smoke in the hospital.
Oh yeah.
The patient smoked, and he would come in smoking a cigarette every day. And he had that starched white or a starched dress shirt with a beautiful tie, and then he had his white starched lab coat over that, and he would come in the room and he checked on me every morning. So one day when he was coming in to check me, he was leaning over me to do the stuff, and then my mom was sitting behind him in a chair, and she said, "Dr. Rockland, can I ask you a question?" And I just knew what was coming. And he said, "Well, of course," but he didn't turn around. And she said, "You're a big time oncologist. How can you smoke?" And I knew I was going to witness something great, and he stopped working on me, and he turned around and faced her and pointed his finger, and he said, "Smoking won't kill you. Worrying about it will." And he turned around and kept working on me, and she never said another word.
Isn't that something?
And he died of leukemia.
Great.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy too? I remember the first airplane flight I had with my ex-wife. I had won a sales contest, and the prize was to go to St. Thomas for a 5-day all-inclusive at a resort. And we had seats on the back of the airplane, and I was kind of, had never flown before, and I was a cigarette smoker, and I was probably 22, 23 years old. And
Yeah.
my ex-wife and I were both cigarette smokers, and we were in the back of the plane. And sure enough, you remember they had the ashtrays, and everybody would smoke.
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful. Yeah.
It was wonderful. So did you spend a lot of time in the sun? I mean, he gave you some admonition not to,
Well,
right?
I was not a beach goer. I mean, I went to the beach being raised, but I didn't live at the beach. I wasn't one of those, I wasn't a surfer or any of that kind of stuff. But I did get a horrible sunburn one summer.
Mm.
And he kind of agreed. I said that, in my mind, that's what triggered this thing. And he said, could be. And now remember, this St. John's is in Santa Monica, just a couple of blocks from the beach. And
Yeah.
he said, every weekend I pray for rain because you don't know how many people are going to go out to that beach. And he pointed out the window and get melanoma.
Yeah. I
It's
remember
it's
Ken,
serious.
I remember going to the Jersey Shore. They didn't call it the ocean or anything. It was called the shore. And everybody
Yeah.
would go down the shore. That's the slang for that, vicinity or that geographical area. We're going down the
Yeah.
shore. And I remember going down for day trips, cutting high school, piling into a car, going down there, lying on the beach, and just getting so burnt that it
Right.
would blister. And then of course later on I would, lay out with Wesson vegetable oil and baby
Right.
oil and just doing all that stuff. And I got it was on my arm about 6 months ago. It was like this little bump, and I'm rubbing it and picking it, thinking it's a skin tag, and
Yeah.
and it never. So I went to the dermatologist, and they did a biopsy, like you said. The guy says, "Ah, that's the real deal, and you got to get that taken out of." And subsequently, like you, I've got to go every 6 months. And when I went back for my checkup about 2 months ago, they found that I sent you the video of the incision they made on my chest,
Yes.
two
That's what
on
they
my
did.
back. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And now and I still, you'd think I'd learn. I just got back from a walk around a neighborhood. I had a short sleeve shirt on, but I don't go shirtless anymore because,
Yeah.
it's just so uncomfortable. My wife has to dress the bandages with the stitches in the back. And I don't know how
Right.
folks without help or assistance get through that. My brother had it done.
Right.
I'm thinking, how the heck did he
You need help. Yeah, you need help. Okay, well, let me tell you now that you brought that up, because you could use this. Are you still dressing them?
No, I'm all healed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they told me so now when I go to the dermatologist every 6 months, they usually find something and then, then I have to go back for these surgeries, you
That's
know?
this. That's what I know. And here's the thing. Here's the catch. I grew up with a guy, and he from my hometown back in southern New Jersey. I moved to Naples, Florida in 1999. Well, he came down the year after, unbeknownst to me, and we reconnected. And he started a little dermatologist office. In fact, both my girls going through freshman and sophomore year of college had interned for him, so they worked for him. And he subsequently grew it to, I want to say, 200 offices, and he sold it out. Now he sits as a consulting, like a CEO type. He sits back and he's got the golden parachute. Wonderful individual, super talented and gifted guy. But, I thought it was ingenious and brilliant of him to come down to the Gulf of Mexico. And it's like,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
you get a client base, it's just a revolving
Well,
door.
years ago when I was still in California, one of the doctors or something said, if you want to get into medicine and make money, be a dermatologist
Mm.
because there's going to be a wave of melanomas in the future.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, your dermatology office is crowded all the time.
It really is. You got to make an appointment and then they'll call to
6 months in
reschedule.
advance.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's an amazing
So
venture.
here's what I want to share with you.
Shoot. Oh, Bag Bomb. Now, what's Bag Bomb?
Now, bag balm, I had never heard of
Never heard of
until
that.
I moved to Oregon. And when I moved to Oregon, what's bag balm? What's bag balm? Well, it's kind of like Vaseline, and they rub it on the cow's udders before they milk them. It's a balm for the bag. and but it's antiseptic and antibacterial, and it smells good. And the dermatologist told me, to just, it's in the instructions, just use Vaseline. Well, Vaseline has no medicinal value other than it's a protectant, it's a protectant, but it's not antibacterial, it's not antiseptic.
Yeah.
But bag balm is. So I've been rubbing that. I had one of these things on my hand like you did and one on my nose, and I put bag balm on it twice a day.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look that up. I'm sure they sell it on Amazon. Like,
They do. This is what, yeah, and it's from Vermont. I didn't realize it's from Vermont.
yeah,
And
that's
it's the
really cool.
cutest little can. It's a cube, and it's just fun. It's like,
It's like a tin.
yes, exactly. It's old fashioned. It's really neat stuff.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad to see you on the Royal Road to Recovery, my
Yeah,
friend. It's
thank you.
great news, and I was kind of taken back when you sent me the picture with the all the bandages and oof, as
It looked horrible, didn't it?
I can relate. It really. What'd the other guy look like?
Yeah, yeah. But this was what they call, if you got to get cancer, this is the kind to get because it will not go down into your body and spread through like melanoma. It'll
Yeah,
just stay on the surface.
yeah,
And so next time I'm going to ask them when they find one of these things, I should say, if they find one of these things. So, like,
yeah.
what if I don't do anything? What's it going to do? Well, it'll spread. Okay. So in 5 years or 10 years, I mean, what does that mean? I'm going to really dig deep with the questions.
No pun intended, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, I often wondered that. The fella that does our pressure washing once a year actually,
Yeah.
um, out in the sun all the time. I ran into him at the local gym and I said, Johnny, how are you? And he said, not so good. I said, what's up? And he looked as though he lost 30, 40 pounds. He was a stout guy in great shape and he'd go out there and knock out the whole house in no time.
Yeah.
He said the dermatologist found something on the back of my knee. It was like a blister, and they misdiagnosed it. And what happened was it turned into melanoma, and it went through his lymphs and his system. So he's going through a bunch of chemo, and so it's really nothing to mess around with. In fact, one of the things that the big folks are proponents of are the sunscreens and things of that nature. Now, a lot of reports are coming out saying that's even you don't want
Worse.
to, because whatever you put, I don't know if you're aware, I'm sure you are, but if you whatever you apply to your skin's an organ and it's absorbing everything. So if you
Yeah,
put on lotions or whatever, it gets into your bloodstream.
right.
So sometimes the cure is worse than the preventive.
Yeah, exactly. They don't know what they're doing. Hey, when you went to the Jersey Shore, do you remember the women used to lay out and they had those big reflector
on
boards
on the thing,
and
yeah.
they'd sit there. I mean, they were microwaving themselves. It was
Ken,
crazy.
I can totally relate. Absolutely. Did you ever watch the series on HBO, The Sopranos?
The Sopranos?
Yeah.
No, I never did.
Oh, do yourself a favor. It's
I
a
never got into that.
7 seasons and it's just wonderful. It's a little, it's rough, but it's done wonderfully. James Gandolfini. So what I was saying with regards to the Sopranos, one of the characters is he's beloved and he's since passed away. But his name on the show is Paulie Walnuts. And he would be sitting out there in in New York City like with a microwavable thing. But
Yeah.
what I find intriguing is the oncologist had the phone under the like kind of like the bat phone
It
or
was like the bat phone. Yes.
Maxwell Smart or something.
Yeah, because I said, "Is that a movie prop?" And he said, "No."
Yeah, that's very cool. So I'm
And the
sitting.
other two men, he died of leukemia. And then I went to the second doctor, and I had met all three in going there every 6 months. And the other two also died of some form of cancer, which
Well,
makes you just wonder,
could it be concrete proof or some further evidence that we become what we think about, or we
that, or some people say it's a virus. Who knows?
yeah.
We don't know anything.
We really don't. But I like what your friend said about how's the day treating you, and I really like the oncologist comment to your mother
Yeah,
about it's not the smoking, it's the worrying about it,
yes.
whereby I think there's a biblical statement. It's not what you put into your mouth that defiles you, it's what comes out of your
What
mouth.
comes out of it? Exactly. Everything's a total reverse. And there's another old timer down here. He passed away, and I loved him. And every time in a meeting or something, he would always get in. God is always on time.
Yeah, that's
That
so
used to be
reassuring.
his thing. Yeah,
That's so reassuring. If
yeah,
we could just trust in that more in our day to day, when we're getting all busy and life's attacking us from all angles and the pressures and the grind. If you could just remember that and keep it at top of mind, I think would go a long way. It does for
yeah.
me.
And like we said last time, I was telling about Dr. Schultz being at so many people's deathbeds. And
Mhm.
he said, not once did they ever say, "Man, I wish I'd have worked more."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Ken, you authored a book entitled A Rich Man's Secret, and I've since reread it, and it's a wonderful novel
Thank you.
packed with wisdom. And I wanted to get your take on, you know, coincidences and your thoughts on coincidences. And are there such things? Is there a deeper meaning below that? And is there a way that we can control whatever that deeper meaning is to bring about more coincidental action
Yeah,
on our
that
behalf?
great questions. Yes. No, I do not believe there are any coincidences. And we talked about before a fellow I admire in AA who has passed, and he talked about the golden thread
Yeah.
running through your life. Well, to me, that's coincidences make up that golden thread. And we are experiencing what we focus on. Like if you sat down and just watched what you think about all day long, it would startle you because we're so negative. We're always projecting the worst or fears and all of that. And that's what we're putting out there. Emmett Fox, oh, I just love Emmett Fox, and you get those readings
I
now.
do. Thank you. Yeah.
But he talks about one like if you got a cab in New York City and you tell the cab driver, "I want to go here," And then before you get there, you go, no, wait, I want to go here. And then before you get there, no, wait, I want to go over there. That's what we're doing all day long, switching gears when we should be focused on where it is we want to go. He said the cab driver can't get you there if you keep changing your mind.
Since all the contradictions that we encounter
Yeah,
or feed that
yeah.
feed our mind. Yeah. Yeah,
And we're sabotaging ourselves.
I agree with that. And I think you're right. I think we tend to experience what we see. And that reticular activating system, right? The RAS and that little thing in the back of our brain,
Yeah,
it acts like a filter. And
yes,
if we want to, if we the simple example is once again, if we go to buy a car, say we go to buy a Volvo, well, all of a sudden we'll notice Volvos everywhere.
absolutely. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, I've said that in seminars. I'd say if you get a red Volkswagen,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're going to see 100 red Volkswagens every day.
It's not that the function of them being more of them on the road, it's that filter is now
Our awareness, right?
right. So it behooves us then, right, to, like you
Yes,
said, to focus on a specific destination best we can and stop sabotaging and changing directions or switching gears, like you said.
yes. But you have to start by seeing that you do that.
Yeah.
The thing was it Socrates, know thyself?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Most of us have no clue what we're really all about.
Yeah, and I think when we go down that path, right, when we kind of come to ourselves and realize there's something more to the experience than our flesh and bones and our five senses, that, I think that we have to really consider self-mastery. And part of that mastery is to know yourself and to understand your thoughts and to
Yes.
really step back and take a look at them. Ken, when I look at my thoughts, or moreover, if I find myself in a moment of despair or hopelessness or anything like that, which I don't frequently find myself in, but on those occasions, all I have to do is look at the thoughts proceeding up into that feeling or that awareness, and I'm like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah, look what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
ridiculous.
Emmett Fox has one exercise called the 7 day mental diet.
Yes.
And it's a challenge to not think negatively. Now, like he said, it's you will have negative thoughts, but and he used the example of you're sitting in front of a fireplace and a spark or whatever pops out of the fireplace onto your pants.
Oh
If
yeah.
you get it right off, it won't burn your pants. But if you let it sit there, it's going to burn through. So that's what he talks about. The negative thoughts will come, but you got to get them out of there, change the subject as quickly as you'd brush that ember off your pants.
Yeah, that makes great sense. And that's a wonderful illustration. I think I've read that, or
Yes.
maybe I heard it from you in one of your books. I don't know, but
He was Emmett Fox was the best.
yeah, he was. And I appreciate the emails each day.
Oh, you bet.
They're insightful. Thank you for that. I feel
You
privileged to
bet.
be a part of it. But I wanted to ask you, hey, what's the 33? Is that a 33 on your head?
Oh yeah, that's Club 33 at Disneyland. It's the private club in New Orleans Square.
And you're a member.
No, I mean, no, it's like even years ago, it was a 7 or 10 year waiting list. And then I mean, I think it's up to like $50,000 a year.
Oh,
And I would have, as much as I love Disney, I still wouldn't do it because I wouldn't use it. And you can give guest passes to your friends, but at that rate, so a lot of corporations are members
gotcha. They use
and
it to
they
wine
give it
and
to their employees and their clients and stuff
clients.
like that. So I've been privileged to go 3 times, but that's what that means, Club 33.
Yeah, when you were bending down when you were on the phone earlier, I said, "What does he
Yeah.
got there?" I said, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
check that out." So, Ken, we talked about, the transition from you going into, you had that desire to become wealthy. early in your life, and you had some serendipitous events that took place and transpired, a really gratuitous route that ultimately got you to the pinnacle of where you wanted to be. And I asked you, had the monies and the success and things like that being happening so quickly, did it affect you? I guess what I want to ask you today is, as you wound down the venture, I know somebody came in, some entity, and really put the kibosh on your copywriting in terms of your marketing material, and it really hindered you or hamstrung the organization to do the numbers that it once experienced. When you got out of that, how did you get out of it? And then what was the transition like for you? Because obviously you poured your heart and soul into this whole
Yeah.
mission. And
Yeah.
then,
Well, I just say thank God for AA. And I'm just not speaking for myself, but a lot of people retire. And the what you hear, I mean, I've never seen a study on it, but I've heard that people who retire who have no purpose die within 6 years. I've just always heard that. I don't know
Mhm.
if it's true or anything else,
Yeah, I've
but
heard something
I,
similar.
I totally understand it because there's no way I could sit on a porch and rock and smoke cigars. I couldn't do it. I need to be doing something. And AA recovery has been a blessing to me because I can help others. I sponsor guys. I'm on meetings all the time. I put out a newsletter, and it just keeps me active and involved in doing something beneficial, you know. I
Yeah.
have, did I tell you about the retired priest I sponsor?
You mentioned him, you said he was from Massachusetts or New York?
Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know,
Go
I
ahead and
mean,
tell,
I
share the
think of the
story.
humility that this man has, because here you know what a priest is like at their parish. It's like, oh yes, Father, I mean, he's the God of their parish. And then in Boston, which is kind of a, you know, ritzy area,
Yeah.
and he retires and comes to Alabama, where these rednecks don't give a hoot that he's a priest and he's in AA. And I just, what a dose of humility this man took, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful that that provides you with that. And it, it keeps you grounded, it keeps you centered, it keeps you on purpose, right? And on mission.
Yes. And
Yeah.
the other thing, Bobby, I wanted to mention is, you know, there we go. You know, I'm anti, uh, shoot, anti goals. I don't believe in goals. What I believe in is an aim. Okay, if you love making paper airplanes, make that your aim. If you love writing, make that your aim. But don't try to say, I want to be making $20,000 a year within 5 years. That's BS. It's
Now,
BS.
why do you, what lends you to think that? What
I don't
leads
know
you to think
when
that?
I don't know when it switched in my head. Well, I guess my own experience, Bobby, I would have never said I want a big, nice family business with 200 employees, and then that gave birth to another big, nice uh, family generated company with they had 1,200 employees,
Hmm.
and and I'd be flying around in jets and you know only staying at Four Seasons or Ritz Carltons and only traveling by limousines and only eating at the best place. I would have never had the audacity to make that a goal.
Or the vision, really.
Right, right. So I just did what I loved and it helped people. And that's what God delivered. There's a line in our big book that says, when we look back, we see the things that God put in our life were so much better than anything we could have imagined. And that sums it up for me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love the fact that you let it breathe, you let it unfold.
Yeah.
I could have never imagined when I first got this book of yours in 1995, living back in the Northeast, that I would have the privilege and the honor of speaking with you 30 years later, and
Yeah.
and uh,
Who
and
knew?
and developing a friendship. I just it was beyond me. I could not have forecasted that. What's that scripture that says eye is not seen, ear is not heard. You have no idea what is in store for you. You can't even imagine it. And I think
No, you
when we
cannot imagine it. And
when we put a goal
that's
on
the
it,
coincidence thing, you know?
yeah, but if we put a goal or a box around it or a line, a boundary or whatever, I think that hampers it and it hinders from the good that could be availing ourselves. We could be availing ourselves or what's on the path or the plan. So,
Exactly. Like that's how arrogant can we be
right.
that we're going to tell God, this is what I want.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like how you say in your other book, it's more of a Boy Scout manual, the ultimate technique for success. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, I like how it's laid out where if whatever you enjoy doing, immerse yourself in it. I see. I don't think anything happens in a vacuum, Ken. I think we have desires and things of that nature, and it's a gift, really, right? And if we poo-poo it or squelch it, it's just not going to come to fruition. But if
Right.
we let it unfold and let it breathe. Like it might seem silly to somebody to build paper airplanes for a living, but damn it, if that's what you want to do, who
Yes.
knows what could that nothing is happens in a vacuum or a void. There's a
Right.
there's a desire planted in our heart for a reason. And what the creator places in your heart desire wise, he has the means to fulfill it. So who are we in our audacity to poo-poo that?
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
exciting.
That's ego. That's ego, Bobby. And the ego is arrogant and it's it's
It's not
it's
your
not your amigo.
The ego is not your amigo.
Well, I went to Walt Disney's hometown. It was Marceline, Missouri. And at that time, he was born in Chicago, but his father moved them to Marceline. And actually, they tried being farmers for a while. But Walt Disney said, more things of importance have happened to me in Marceline than are likely ever to happen again. I mean, it had a profound impact. And there's a tree there, and I think it's since died or fell down. It was called Walt's Dreaming Tree. And he would go, it was by a little creek, and he would go lay on his stomach and sketch bugs that he would see. And he called it belly botany. And that's how Walt Disney started out. I mean, it's what an incredible story.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to live probably 20 miles away from the Thomas Edison and Henry Ford Winter Estates in Fort Myers here. And
Wow.
I visited it, and it's got one of the largest and oldest banyan trees, which is it's another biblical tree. But you go through these tours of the homes and you see how they lived. It's just mind blowing. But Thomas Edison did something similar. He would catnap. He would have an issue or a problem over one of his inventions, and he'd take a cat nap, wake up shortly thereafter, and poof, an answer or a
Here's
piece of
the
the
answer.
piece of the puzzle would be put into place. Another thing he would do, kind of like Belly Botany from Walt Disney under the Dreaming Tree, was he'd go out on the dock on the Caloosahatchee River, and he would throw a fishing line in there, but there would be no bait on it. He would just sit out there and contemplate and think.
Yeah.
So I just
He
find,
didn't want to be bothered catching a fish. It's
no, man, that's too much work. I just
too
want to,
much distraction.
exactly, exactly, exactly. I love all that stuff.
Did you ever go? Did you ever go to Greenfield Village
No, sir.
in Michigan? Henry Ford put it together.
No, sir.
And it's unbelievable, unbelievable museum and little village, kind of a big village.
What's it
But
called?
man, the first time, Greenfield Village, and the first time I went there, a light bulb, it was like, oh, this is where Walt Disney got his idea for Disneyland.
Mm.
That and Tivoli Gardens. in what is it, Denmark?
Similar?
Yeah, lots of gardens, very pretty, pristine,
Yeah.
little pathways. And they said that had an impact on Walt as far as landscaping went.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
then
just,
he just took it farther.
I'm intrigued with that kind of stuff, man. I
Yeah,
would
me
go,
too.
there was a book, I was into a lot of the New Thought authors, and I mentioned a couple names before, but one in particular, his name was Ralph Waldo Trine, and Trine. And I bought his book. I'll never forget, I printed it out offline, and it took so many, hundreds of pages, and I printed it out, stapled it together, and I used to go underneath of that banyan tree and read his works at lunchtime, and just like the solitude, and to get that
Yeah,
in my brain. I forgot it all now, but it
yeah,
was, it
yeah.
was really,
No,
really,
it's in there. It's
yeah,
in there.
yeah. I love that kind of stuff, man.
Doc Hawkins used to say, and I don't know why, I've been thinking about this recently, but you know how some people can see auras, see our aura?
Supposedly,
Well,
yeah.
if you're in tune, I guess is the way to say it, or at a certain level, you you can know everything about that other person because it's all contained in their aura.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing to think about?
Well, it's even more. Yeah, it is amazing to think about. To your point, I think that's incredible. I was watching a near-death experience, and a gal said that she came back with the ability to actually hear thoughts, and
Wow.
she said a lot of them are unpleasant, and it really gave me pause to think, and I'm like, what the heck am I thinking about? Because if somebody can read my thoughts, man, it's a dark place there. I mean, I go. We all do, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
isn't that
Yeah.
quite the gift? Yeah, I think that the auras, and I think Dr. Joe Dispenza was talking about, you can project a light and you can see, or there's certain scientific stuff now that can show that they are for real, that energy that surrounds our body.
And I that's what that Emmett Fox playlist I sent you,
Yeah,
uh it's either life after death or reincarnation. He talks about the etheric body, that we have this etheric body. Now you've heard about that, right?
I have not. I've heard of ethereal.
Well, you might want to read or listen to that part of the playlist. And whoever did that, that is not Emmett Fox's voice. I cannot find a recording of Emmett Fox's voice, but whoever put that video together was a professional, and I'm so grateful to him for doing that. But he talks about the etheric body and what it does. He says it permeates the physical body like water to a sponge.
Hmm,
It's in it and it's around it at the same time.
hmm,
And everything is in our etheric body. And in fact, I don't really understand this, but that's where pain comes from. Like when they took these things off of you and me, they gave us a shot of Novocaine or whatever it was, right?
hmm,
And we didn't feel the surgeon slicing our skin because it removed the etheric body from that area.
hmm.
I mean, it's fascinating. And then when we sleep at night, the etheric body leaves our body, and depending on how spiritually advanced you are, it may only go 3 feet away from your body in the bed, or it can go miles and miles, and I assume to other universes, depending on our spiritual advancement. And then like when you wake up in a start and you forget who you are and where you are,
Hmm.
that's the etheric body hasn't popped back
Hasn't
in.
caught up yet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we die, the it's it, the etheric body is always connected to our physical body by the thinnest of cords, and
It's a
in the
silk.
Bible it's called the blue cord.
Yep, the blue cord. Yeah.
And when the blue cord breaks, that's when you're dead. With the physical
For the
body is
physical
dead.
body, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that in a number of the NDE things. And
Yes.
I'm real fortunate, Ken. There's a gal who I listened to the other night. I listen to them before I go to bed because they're very reassuring. Um,
Yeah.
and I've often fall asleep to them, and then I'll have to remember the next day when my ethereal body catches back up to me to write down the name of
Yeah.
the and go back and search who I was listening to. But this
Yeah.
girl named Sharon Milliman, wrote a book, but she's had four near-death experiences, and I only heard of the one. Long story short, she's going to be on the podcast on the 12th of August. I reached out to her, and so I'm super stoked to
Oh, very neat.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I've never spoken to an individual that's gone to the other side, and
Well, I'm a member of a subscriber to your YouTube channel, so
yeah,
I'll get a notification.
yeah, I'll be sure to let you know when that happens. Yeah, those things. And I think we chatted about it briefly the last episode, Ken, about the fact that there's nothing lost, everything's recorded, and
Right.
there's that the Akashic records or something that's on
Yes.
the other
Yes.
side, and they account for every thought, every feeling, every breath of every living soul that's ever lived. I mean, can you imagine the bookkeeping?
Yeah. Right. Well, that's what Doc Hawkins did with calibration. You can tap into that consciousness.
Yes.
Anything that's ever been said, thought, felt, or done is recorded. And figured out a way to tap into that and ask it questions.
And get the
That's
answer.
that's what his kinesiology was all about. But I think you're much more spiritually advanced than I am, because you know what I watch every night just before I go to bed?
Reruns of Hee Haw.
Bonanza.
Yes, same day I was gonna go there.
I love Bonanza. It's always upbeat.
Hold on one second, Ken.
You bet.
I got these eight. I get spam calls. I hate that. Yeah, we you know what we watch? We don't watch a lot of TV just because Ken f- uh, tell me I'm wrong, but I think there's such a low level frequency, a low level vibe, and the vibration is so low level on TV and with the media as a whole, with the fear and the death and the politics and the economy and all this
Yeah,
crap. So we
right.
go on to we have a service Peacock or Netflix kind of Peacock, and we rewatch the reruns of King of Queens. We've watched it countless times, and just get a kick
Yeah,
out of it. It's light comedy. And then we went back and we on the same network and watched the very first episode and subsequent episodes of the Beverly Hillbillies and how that all
yeah,
got started. That was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. It
Like I
was.
remember as a young kid, but to go back and revisit all those old shows, I think that's just good, clean fun.
It is. Yeah, and calibrate. Doc Hawkins would tell us that all calibrated very high. In fact, he one time he said all rock and roll, not all of it, but in general, rock and roll calibrates very high
Really?
because it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But like he said, rap and hip hop calibrated about 25. And anything below 200 is what he would say is dangerous.
Yeah.
But rock and roll and all that, what we're talking about, it calibrates high. It makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they're good values.
you watch all that stuff and I'm sure there was propaganda laced in it at some level, but it was so much more benign. If you watch shows like The Rifleman and
Yeah.
Bonanza, Gunsmoke, just countless other shows that
Yeah.
they'd intro you, they'd have a plot, there was a problem they would present, you'd go through the problem, then they'd offer a solution, and then everybody lived happily ever after. It was just
Yeah. Yeah.
it just spoke so much more to um our the core of who I think it just really resonates with the decency that resides in
Yeah.
us
Good values. Yeah.
rather than pandering to the fear side of things.
Right.
I think that fear too, when we are exposed to it at prolonged periods and just repetitiously, I think it starts it's the onset of disease.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Well, it's what, the garbage in, garbage out. It's,
Has to be.
people
Has to
put
be.
a lot of garbage in nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Good
Do you
stuff.
remember Sea Hunt with
Yeah, with
Lloyd Bridges?
Jeff Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges. I used to I
See
used to
that?
watch as a kid, and I would take a toilet paper roll and put it in my mouth like I would had a scuba thing in it.
Yeah. We had a toy during that same period of time. It was it was a ship, like a plastic ship that you'd put place in the bathtub, and it had a little hatch, and you'd put like a tablet in there, shut the
Yeah,
hatch, and then it would sink to the bottom of the tub. And then we thought that just the stuff that we would use to play with it were
it was incredible.
it
Yeah,
was
I know.
a hula hoop. Who'd have
Yeah,
thought?
yeah,
A pogo stick.
right. Or Slinky.
Silly putty. Yeah,
Yeah.
all of it. Absolutely.
Remember we'd transfer the color comics with Silly Putty?
That was what I'd go for, man. You'd get the
Yeah.
comic book and then you'd smear it on there and you'd lift it up and
Yeah.
you'd have it. And it was great. And I just loved all that kind of stuff, man. Well, I'm
Yeah.
speaking with Ken Roberts, author, entrepreneur, and mentor, Tales from the Treehouse. So you hear a little bit about going back and forth, what stokes our fire, our interests, and, a little bit about some nostalgic youth talk. But if you get an opportunity, visit Ken. Actually, you can't visit him, but you can write him. And Ken's an avid emailer. And if you reach out to him at for Ken the Road, for the number four, KENTHEROAD at Gmail. He'd be happy to get your correspondence and send you a little something back. And who knows, you might get on one of his mailing lists. I find them insightful, I find them helpful and encouraging, and it always reminds me of Ken. So that's good stuff, Ken. Yeah, I like the inspiration behind Walt Disney and the Greenfield Village. Everybody's got to get their start, and that's the thing. The people or the I don't want to say idols, but the people that I admire. When you get to meet them or you get to look into their stories a little more and find out what motivated them, and you kind of start to do some forensics and go back. That's always intriguing. Is there anybody who did you admire aside from Walt Disney when you were growing up?
I always admired Walt Disney, and I think part of it, because I've told you about my dad. He was kind of in the show business
Yeah.
industry with Capitol Records and NBC and all that. And now that I'm thinking back, like you and I were talking about, we think and appreciate our dads more now than we did then.
Yeah.
And he would always, I wish I'd have asked him more of this stuff, but he um
Yeah, I know.
he would make little comments that now I realize he was following Walt Disney's activities and stuff. For example, when Disneyland, okay, it started in July of 1955. In 1965, it was 10 years old, and they did a 10-year special. Walt was alive. He died in 66, and they called it Disneyland's Tencennial. They twisted the word.
Yeah.
And my dad commented on that. He noticed that and was saying they are so creative
Yeah.
to say tencennial, that kind of thing. And he had some connection because when I was struggling and I was playing music, I was in the band I told you about and playing weddings and bar mitzvahs and all of
You're a
that.
drummer. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you about drumming too. Um, I was trying to find my way and what am I going to do for a living and all this. So it was early 70s, and my dad, I don't know how he did this. He got me an interview with Card Walker. Card Walker was the CEO of Disney. And I went over, yeah, Google it. It's short for Cardin, but that's what everyone called him, Card Walker. And I went over to the Disney studios. And the other thing, I was born across the street where Walt Disney died, and John Ritter died there
Ooh.
at Saint Joseph Hospital.
Hmm.
And that's where I was born.
Isn't
And
that
it's right across the street from the Disney studios. So there I go, and the guard, I had to check in at the guard, and he had my name on the list. And I didn't appreciate it then as much as I do now. But here I am sitting, that would be like going to sit down with Bob Iger today, or
absolutely?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so I told him a little bit, and he got on the phone and he said, I mean, right then and there, he says, "Yeah, we're just working on." Well, they had just opened in 1971, had opened Disney World in Florida, and so it was just up and going. And he said, "I can get you a job there as a music agent." And so, talk about coincidence and all this. But anyway, there was the man in charge, I found out later, is named Stan Freese, Freese. He was the head of music at Walt Disney World. He came from Southern California, but they sent him there to bring up the new, Disney Magic Kingdom there. And I would have been under him. Well, today, or at least as the last few years, he's a big name in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Wow.
He's and I heard an interview, and he told some wild stories about his drinking days. And I look back now, if I'd have said yes and moved from Southern California to Florida, I would have been under Stan Freeze. He was drinking at the time. I was drinking at the time. And God only knows how that would have ended up. But I thanked him, and I said, I respectfully got to say no, because my wife's family was all in Southern California, and my mom and dad were there, and I
Uproot.
didn't want to move to Florida.
Yeah, it's amazing how the how everything that golden thread is weaved in and out. And in hindsight, you can connect the dots. Speaking about last episode we were talking about our fathers and how much you know, I just think about them more and more as I get older, and those things that they said, like your dad, beep,
Yeah,
how he
yeah,
would get you that
yeah.
meeting with card. I mean,
That's right.
that's
How
amazing.
did how did he know him? I don't, how did he know him?
That's amazing. And one day you're going to find out, and it's going to be, you'll rejoice in it. So my daughter for Father's Day, a belated Father's Day gift, because that's how she always does me, but she always
Yeah,
comes through. She got this. It says it's a journal, right? And
yeah,
it says, Dad, I want to know your story.
yeah,
So it's a guided journal, and it goes back, it says, for instance, looking back in time, which moments and experiences stand out as transformative and defining? And so you got to answer these things, and how,
yeah.
about your childhood and growing up. And so I think the one thing that I want to share with her is the fact that you need to, like, just pay attention to your parents and any loved one, because at any time they could be gone, and there's so much to be gleaned, and there's so much, not that
That's
I'm
right.
any book of wealth or anything, but I'm sure your dad and my dad, they weren't thinking about being full of knowledge and wealth, but it's funny the impact and the impression that they've made.
As we're watching, that's the thing. That country song, I've been watching you, Dad.
Mm-mm.
It's a cute song. He's driving his car with his son, and they pick up a Happy Meal, and he has to slam on brakes at a light, and his chicken nuggets get dumped, and the kid says shit, and the father goes, now, where did you get that? He says, I've been watching you, Dad. I want to be just like you. And then the verse goes on, and he took him home. He's going to bed, and the son gets on his knees and says his prayers before bed. And the father goes, now, where did you get that, son? He says, I've been watching you, Dad. I want to be just like you. I mean, it's so sweet.
Well, those formative years, they say between 0 and 6, you are completely without your own will in terms of programming. You are programmed. You become what your surroundings are, and emotions, in other words, if you're told something, if you're no good, and then there's a lot of emotion behind it, it really drives it home. And that they call it the formative years because you're being
Yes.
formed. And yeah, it's so true. I remember when there was a television commercial back when they were starting to outlaw cigarettes back in the 70s in terms of advertising, and they showed
Yes.
somebody, the parent smoking and the kid going to pick up the cigarette, and they're like, "Where'd you learn that from?"
Yeah. Right.
Where do you think I
I
learned
I live here.
it? Exactly. That's great stuff. So Walt Disney was a big influence on you, and what a neat story about Card, um,
I just wonder, how did my dad know Carden Walker? I
getting you
mean,
that introduction, and
yeah.
for
And he just,
you,
I like made a call. Next thing you know, I've got an appointment there. It was like no muss, no fuss.
yeah. But what a privilege! What a privilege!
Yeah.
I've got some. I just love watching people who mean something to me that have done things and they're good people, and to find out what made them good people aside from their parents, like what role models
Right.
did they have,
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, my dad was a big Disney guy. My grandfather, he loved Disney. He was a sketcher and a drawer and an artist. He had an art gallery, picture
Yeah.
frame shop, and all that kind of stuff. And
Right. Yes, you told me.
yeah,
And you
so
tried to buy that painting.
that way, that was. I got the next time we talk, I'll have it pulled up on my thing.
Okay.
It's pretty risque for a 5-year-old to be looking at, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cute.
Well, okay. Well, listen to this. Do you, when you're, so this would have been, remember when the movie Grease came out?
Yeah,
Did you
1977.
realize how filthy the lyrics are?
There's a lot of risque lyrics.
I mean, filthy.
To answer your question, I did not.
But didn't you show your kids that movie?
Oh yeah, and you don't give it a thought.
I know. It was like, so I was listening to, and my
Whoa.
daughter now has two daughters in high school and college. And I just heard Grease. I watched a clip or something from Grease again, and I texted my daughter. I said, "Did remember Grease?" And she said, "Oh yeah," and it's her younger daughter's favorite movie.
A high
And I said,
schooler. Yeah,
"Do you realize? I mean, because the kids got it from me about how enthusiastic I was about it." I said, "Do you realize how filthy those lyrics are?"
absolutely,
And she
absolutely.
said, "I know, and it's Gracie's favorite movie."
You know what I enjoy about that growing up and watching, movies like that and different things. It was more clever and it was more, I don't want to say disguised, it was more innuendo. It wasn't so in
Yeah,
your face. It wasn't so, yeah, and all this
yeah,
stuff. It
yeah,
wasn't all that. It was it was the use of the language and the way they would weave it in so that
yeah.
it was good for the well, for instance, you look at like Bugs Bunny and the Warner Brothers stuff. When I was growing up on Saturday mornings, that was just a cartoon, but
Yeah.
the themes behind that,
I know. And it was
Nazi Germany and
violent.
the Japanese and how racist it was, and I'm going, holy crap.
I know.
I mean, that was clever stuff.
Man, we were so fortunate to be raised when we were, though. And
You are
where,
not kidding. You
yeah.
are not kidding. You had to. I can still remember my home phone number, yet I don't know my kids' phone number. I just have them in there as Megan and Jennifer
Right, right.
because you were forced to know. I remember. I just have so many fond memories. Like I said, the dial-up phone and crap. I remember when fax machines and beepers came out. I thought that
Oh,
was
man. Remember, we were sending what they call memes today? We were faxing memes all over the place.
yep,
It
yep,
was incredible.
yeah.
Three
And I
four five 1472. That was my childhood phone number.
yep.
345-1472.
654-8722.
Yeah.
Come on
Yeah.
now. That's
And you
amazing. I can remember that.
remember the first push button telephone?
Oh, absolutely. They were
I
great.
gotta I gotta send you this video of it's two today's teenagers trying to
Figure out.
dial the rotary phone. Have you seen that one?
I have. I have.
Yeah,
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 it's classic. I remember there was one phone in the whole house.
yeah.
Actually, there was one upstairs and one downstairs, but the one downstairs had a telephone cord. It was the coily one, and it was probably 20 feet long, and you would like
Yeah,
walk two rooms over, and
right.
to wait to get on it, and oh man, that was just so
And
much
we'd make prank phone calls, and
yeah.
nobody could tell.
And then you do the emergency breakthrough. So there's one line, and I'm on the phone with a girlfriend or something, and my mom would do an emergency breakthrough. Get off the line.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that. That's right.
And then you had and then when the cell phones came out, I just saw the other night on the King of Queens episode, like I was telling you we were watching, they were on the phone and they had to hang up the cell phone because they were in roam mode. Now, if you said the word roam to a kid today, you get the
Right.
roaming charges, they'd be like exorbitant.
Yes.
Or the
Right.
fact that your mom had to call Australia at night to save a buck because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
stuff, man. Good
Hey, we've
stuff.
got to talk about, you're a drummer, right?
Well, I play the drums. I'm not a drummer. I play along, and I have for years and years. I've got a kit right in the living room.
Yeah.
We bought the
Oh,
house. We bought the house so that my wife, she's a cook, she's a chef. We're plant-based, so we're vegan. Have been for 6 years. She's a cook before that, and she's a cook after it, and she really makes these dishes that are incredible. And I like to watch her cook, and she
yeah.
likes to listen and watch to play drums. So when we purchased this house, Ken, we bought it in such a configuration that the drum set would be focal point to the kitchen and vice versa. But in terms of being a drummer, um, I know my rudiments. I'm not great at them. I can keep time decently with a metronome, and I keep time. But I play through an amp. It's an electronic Roland. It's a Roland TD50 kit, and I'll send you a picture of it. And I play along over to all my favorite bands, and I try to just mirror it and mask it. And then my brother, who's a guitar player, he comes down to visit from time to time. He'll just get into some blues and stuff, and we just pick it up like, and it's natural. But I love the drums, and I not to belabor the point and give you a long-winded answer to your question, but I told you he built me a bass guitar, and so I've really been getting into the bass guitar lately, doing the same thing. I read the notes. I can't look up and sing and play it nonchalantly like
Right.
a true bassist,
So
but
you
I
know
just enjoy
about
it.
Carol Kay, right? With the Wrecking Crew?
The bass player, she's my hero.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
saw a clip of her in that Gene Simmons from Kiss.
he's a bass player. Yeah.
He had her teaching him. It showed them she was
Oh, I didn't know.
teaching him stuff. I
Wow.
want to tell you here, I'm going to show you something.
Hmm.
That was what, can you see it?
I got it. I'm putting my glasses on. There's Ken
That
in the
was,
upper right-hand corner.
yeah, that was called Shady Brook. That
Nice.
was a show band I was in for about 6 months.
Look at the velvet tuxedos.
Oh yeah, and the ruffled shirts.
That's amazing. And where did you
Yeah.
play? Where did you play when you were with them?
We toured around like we went. Our first job was in Saskatoon, Canada,
Canada. Yeah.
and it was 20 below zero.
Oh,
And
wow.
and then we went to Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming,
Uh-huh.
the Antique Club, it was called. And then we went to the Regency Hotel in Denver, Colorado. And we were there for what we were a show band. So it wasn't like
What do you mean a show band?
we were a show. We put on a show. We weren't just like the dance band in the bar.
Okay.
People will come and sit down and watch our show.
It was a
And
show.
yeah, and we played in Ventura, California. Anyway, I couldn't take like I was married then and I couldn't take life on the road. So I got out of that. But someone just posted that on Facebook
Oh, excellent.
as a memory.
Are
But
are
my
you on Facebook?
yes.
Okay. I gotta look you up.
Yeah, let's see. I'll email you my link because it's so hard to find somebody on Facebook.
Here's my favorite drummer is the drummer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You might have seen him. He resembles Will Ferrell, the comedian.
Right?
And they had a drum off. Will Ferrell and this drummer, his name's Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He's my
Uh-huh.
favorite, and he's also an artist. And he came to Naples, Florida, to promote his art that he worked. And well, my daughter and myself went and we actually met him and hung out with him and talked to him. We bought one of his
Hey,
pieces of art and he signed it for us. And there he is there. I don't know if you could see it.
yeah, I'm aware of them, but I don't know much about them.
And he posed for pictures with we did like a faux album cover with like looking like an album cover and
Yeah,
just be careful when you meet your heroes, right, Ken, because they
yeah,
could let you down. This guy he's just salt of the earth and super super awesome
very
individual.
nice. Well, they can
Very
pick
nice.
you up too. That's nice to know.
It was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, my claim to fame was, I'll tell you if we talk about this, but I got to take lessons from Ed Shaughnessy, who
Yeah.
was the Tonight Show drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I was so proud of the fact that he would even take me on as a student.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And what kind of kit did you play? Ludwig, Slinger?
Ludwig. Yeah,
Ludwig?
Ludwig
Yeah.
with Zildjian cymbals.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I just love the drums. I went to see a band when I was probably 12 or 13 that came to our town. They had like a little rock and roll festival and I got up close to the stage and I watched the drummer and how powerful and how impactful, he's hitting the bass drum and crashing the cymbals and cracking
Yeah,
the snare and I said, I want to do that.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Well,
me.
my hero was Louis Bellson.
Never
Louis
heard.
Bellson had a big band, and he was the one who started double bass drums.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I also would go, and I would go see Louis and his big band around Southern California a lot, and also, of course, Buddy Rich. But and in
Gene
fact, my
Krupa?
friend and I, yeah, we went to Disneyland and saw Buddy Rich and his band, and he was no doubt about it. He was an animal. He had the speed.
Oh,
He had everything, but I just liked Louis better. I think because of his personality. He was married to Pearl Bailey.
oh, Pearl Bailey, yeah.
Yeah,
The singer.
yeah.
Now I
And
remember Gene Krupa.
oh yeah,
I always preferred him over Buddy. I think Buddy was a little, and I hate to talk tales out of school when the man's gone and can't defend himself, but I thought he
yeah.
was a little harsh. Like,
He was an asshole, but
okay, you said it, and I'll agree because I heard some tapes of him on a tour bus
I
ripping
did too.
ripping his band a new one because they couldn't keep time or something, and
Yeah,
he was belittling them.
I heard that one too, Bobby.
I'm
Yeah, that's
surprised
about
somebody didn't
right.
take him and just clean his clock. You know?
I'm someone must have tried, but no, he was an animal on the drums. But I just
Yeah, he
like
was definitely an animal.
Louis Bellson was a gentleman and he was tasty. He was a nice musical
Yeah.
drummer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the jazz guys too because they're so it's so much more intricate and it's difficult and challenging and to watch those
Absolutely.
guys improvise and play, it looks like they're all over the place, but they really got their stuff together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard I heard that they were on the bus, weren't they?
Yeah.
After the
And
job.
somebody recorded it.
Yeah.
You son of a bleep 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 bleep. It's
Yeah,
going.
he was just cruel. That there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I was watching a thing, Ken. It came across YouTube, I think. I always watch the old baseball stuff, like the 1929 Phillies or the Yankees and the World Series with the Giants and the Dodgers. And I watched a thing with Tommy Lasorda. He was born in Pennsylvania and he was like a local Philly guy, but he got his renown as being a pitcher. And then he was the coach of the LA Dodgers. And they
Yeah.
got him mic'd up and stuff. I don't know where they got the recordings, but going out to the pitcher's mound and he would undress his pitchers. I don't give a crap what, and he was dropping F-bombs and yet the image that he portrayed was like Buddy Rich, he was like, hey, everything's
Yeah,
good.
exactly. I know, I remember my dad loved him, loved Tommy Lasorda. And Vin Scully, their announcer.
Love Vince Scully.
My dad admired Vin
What
Scully.
a storyteller, Ken.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
storyteller. He
Because
would be
my
in the
dad, came from radio, and I think Vin Scully might have too. He really admired that man.
he could paint a picture, and I
Yeah,
love radio is my favorite medium. And
yeah,
he could paint a mental picture and do it in between pitches. And then,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he'd like call the players, ground ball hit down the third base line, turn two, double play, and back to, and he'd go to the story and he'd be like,
Yeah.
how the heck did he do that? Just so gifted.
Yeah.
Didn't
Now,
spell it.
wasn't Frank Sinatra and Tommy Lasorda, weren't they buds?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
It
the two
would,
Italians.
it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I remember hearing one thing, Neville Goddard, the author that I was speaking about earlier, New Thought author, he was and he was, they used to call him the Mad Mystic of 48th Street. And he packed this hall, the Hippodrome, in Manhattan or New York City, and with like 3,000 people, and he'd give his speeches once, twice a week, and he would say how contrived Sinatra was, that he remembered him as a young up and coming guy in New York City,
Right.
and he got out of a cab, and it was all they had these girls that would just flock him, and it was like it was a made up or kind of a contrived uh, it wasn't simultaneous, but it was meant to look like it was spontaneous.
Yeah.
And yet he as a youngster, but he had a voice in it, obviously. I mean, the guy was
Oh yeah, he was. But
unbelievable.
that, talk about coincidence, in The Godfather, supposedly that was him in Vegas,
Yep.
and he could have gone down in flames.
Yeah.
The kind of edgy stuff he was involved in. Hey, I just looked up Emmett Fox, and he held large church services at the New York Hippodrome
Yeah.
in
Same.
the 30s and 40s.
Yeah. So did Neville. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Neville came, he moved his family by train out to California in the late 40s and was giving at the Ebell Theater, it was called the Ebell Theater.
Yeah, the
Uh,
Wilshire
The
E-Bell.
Wilshire E-Bell. He would sell it.
Absolutely.
He would always, yeah. I find all that stuff intriguing.
Yeah.
I just, I love all that stuff.
I remember that Wilshire. I think I performed there, and I performed at the Hollywood Bowl.
Did you really? That's
I
awesome.
was in the All Southern California Junior High School Orchestra,
That's
and we
awesome.
got to perform at the Hollywood Bowl.
Very cool. What a memory.
Yeah, what a time and place to be raised and on. We're so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I just, and as I'm writing in this journal that my daughter gave me, it brings them a lot to the fore. I just feel so privileged and blessed. I just recently got on Facebook. I signed up a long time ago, and I thought, it's kind of weird. I don't know, but I recently jumped back on. I'm connecting with a bunch of old friends, one of which is in this town where I live, and he resides in Scottsdale, Arizona, or somewhere in Arizona. But he's taking care of his parents who live in Fort down in this neck of the woods
Yeah,
as they transition. And we sought each other out, and we're going to have cigars together actually in the coming week or so. He's down in town for another couple weeks. But you get to reconnect with a lot of these people, and a lot of the people that I'm reconnecting with, they have the same, they post the same things like that we're talking about, like
yes.
do you want to confuse somebody? Give them you see the one on the back of the Jeep, they have the wheel covers. They always have
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a Hummer.
and on the back of this Jeep it says equipped with a millennial anti-theft device, and it's the sign for the stick shift, the H.
Yeah, they couldn't do that.
I mean, you got the rotary phone, you got the four-speed transmission.
Yeah.
How do they?
I'm going to send you, God, there's so many things I want to email you. This gal, she's a great, clean comedian. Can't think of her name. And she explains the different generations, and she's really accurate. I'll
Excellent.
send it to
Yeah,
you.
if you have a chance,
And
that'd be
one
great.
of them with I guess the millennials or the Z's, she said, we,
Gen
we
Z.
can
Yeah.
we can take over the world. We can just write our plan in cursive writing on
Cursive.
a piece of paper and mail it to each other because they don't know anything
It'd be like a
about
whole covert thing. Do you remember how like the American Indians, they decoded the war thing,
yeah,
or we would speak in American English Indian, and the enemy couldn't figure out the code. They wouldn't be able to do that. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. That's neat. I got to remember to send you that.
Yeah, cursive writing. I remember we had to take that in school, and you got bonus points for neat, and
Right.
punctuation, and you had to learn how to, English, the pronouns, adjectives, adverbs.
Oh, we got a wonderful
You
education,
got a wonderful education, and
Yeah.
that transfers into your writing. When you're writing your books, I can see what generation you're from because it's,
Yeah.
and
Do you remember during summer recess, you could go to the school and they had activities and you could play caroms and they would bring in like an expert in chess. And I remember this guy would play 20 of us chess. We each had a chessboard and he would just walk around the circle and we'd make our move and then he'd come back, make his move, and he would play
had it all
20
up here. Yeah,
at one time.
yeah. Remember Bobby Fischer
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and his Russian antagonist? I forget the guy that he
Yeah.
used to go against, but. Well, there you go, folks. I'll tell you what, this has been an excellent conversation. I don't know about any of y'all listening, but for me and Ken, it was just wonderful fun. So hopefully,
If they're our age, they enjoyed it.
exactly, you can live vicariously through us if you're not from
Yeah.
this generation. But Ken can be found once again, folks, at Fork in the Road. That's the number four, KENTHEROAD at Gmail. If you feel so compelled, reach out with an introduction and say hello to Ken. He'd be happy to
Yeah.
get back to
Please
you.
do.
Yeah, he'd be happy to get back to you. And Ken, I hope that you have we'll get together again before long, but I hope that those incisions heal up with your bag bomb.
And with my bag bomb, I'm telling you, you got to look into that.
I already got it written down. I
All
have
right.
when I talk to you, look, when I talk to you, I had to take notes.
Yeah, I should have too, because I want to send you some things, but I'll email them to you.
There you go, Ken.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. That's another episode. Comes to conclusion. You found out what motivates the mindset of my friend Ken Roberts. And you can listen to this episode forthcoming. I'd like to thank you for your eyeballs and your ear holes. And until next time, please, as always, take good care. And thanks for watching. Ken, thanks so much, my brother.
Thank you. Treat the day well.
Treat the day well. Oh, onward
Onward and upward.
and upward.
Thank you, Bobby.
My good pleasure. Thank you.
This is always a joy. Thank you.
My good pleasure. So enjoyable. Thanks, buddy.
You've been listening to another episode of the Motivated Mindset podcast with your host, Bobby Stein. Thank you for tuning in.